Good evening, project sponsor team. My name is Christos Kokolis, and welcome to our presentation of the CPPC.Pro ticketing system. We have provided a full presentation here to go over what the new system will encompass, how it will be set up, how much the system will cost, what benefits will it provide to the company, how will change be introduced if it comes up during some of the sprints as the project timeline proceeds. We'll be going over those today in our presentation, so stay tuned and thank you for having us here today. So we'll go over what is the CPPC.Pro ticketing system, what will the system solve, why do we need the new system, how much will it cost, what tools will be used, and what the project timeline is. So we'll go over these things, basically explaining the benefits of the system. We do have the estimated project cost being about $55,399, but that cost is solely encompassing for the time spent for the main developer, myself, who will be working, taking time building that project out, as most of the work will be done in-house by the company staff. So let's go over and let's dive in a little bit deeper and see what this system will do and why exactly we need it. So basically what the new system is it's a system that'll reduce the cost of our current business flow by giving us direct access to our customers. We'll be able to cut out the middleman and essentially do direct business and offer our full range of services. It'll be a system similar to other popular products like Zendesk that are out there for taking tickets. Essentially, it'll reside on our own in-house server. The tickets will come in and we'll take them that way and they'll get assigned to us. It'll allow us to reduce our costs by up to 11.3% because that's accounting for the advertising fee that you get with the third-party systems as well as the general insurance fee that you must provide. It's a system that will reside locally and provide our staff with an intuitive interface to interact with our customers. Each customer will get a unique ticket number and be able to contact us via email or phone call, whichever one they choose. And basically what this new system will solve is it'll allow CPPC.Pro to take on a wider variety of projects as an organization. The advertising platform that we'll be using through the new system is unrestricted and allows us unvetted access into being able to do essentially whatever we want with our new system. We will be able to tie this into our social media services. So whenever customers visit our website, they'll get direct access to their social media page, examples of, we'll link it to our GitHub to show the customers examples of software projects that we'll work on and whatnot. And this will give the customer overall view of who we are, and it will be our own brand recognition. And thanks to this unvetted access, direct access to the clients, we will be able to set the terms, obviously based on the fair market rate for the jobs, based on its actual value, not on some value predetermined by the third party for whatever job that we're going on in that instance. So essentially it'll allow us unvetted access. And why do we need the new system? The reason why we need the new system is similar to as we were discussing before. We're looking to expand our services and grow, and we cannot do that on one platform alone. We work with multiple platforms currently, and we're looking to consolidate those platforms and cut out the business costs and fees that are needed to pay to the third party. We can do business directly ourselves, similar to how an MSP does business with other clients currently. The new system will allow admins to regulate business hours and maintain a residual income. By offering the site, which will be running 24/7, we can control that income on a schedule that we predetermine. As we discussed, we're looking to expand our services. So by offering this wide amount of services at a time that's also convenient to CPPC.Pro also lets us focus on an organization on what we need to focus on internally to grow as a company. We won't have to use any separate services to take on any IT projects. We'll have our own system that allows us to schedule the jobs when we want and get to the customers directly. So now the fun stuff, how much will it cost? We did some research and we did find that the initial investment for the CK server project will be about $1,800. This is due to needing to purchase the third-party product if we do decide to go with a third-party product. That hasn't been determined yet. We might end up developing an in-house solution or researching a project. There's been 1 week built in where the engineer will do research and determine if it's viable to either develop an in-house project, if it's better to just do that, or because it's on a little bit of a shorter timeline, if we'll go with a third-party service. So third-party services have been researched and the cost has been built into this project budget. So essentially we're looking at about $1,800 for the initial investment to get the software licensed and set up on the server. Software installation and training, this is for us to basically spend the time and train ourselves essentially on the new system, how it's gonna work, how it's gonna operate with the current infrastructure. But the big benefit here you'll see in the budget immediately is the how much the reduction of fees really cut. It's you're talking about $2,000 here that will be saved at an average of 10 hours per week, $35 an hour. So if you're working 10 hours off our platform at just $35 an hour, which is a very low rate, that'll cut costs by $2,000 to $22,000 in a year right there. So you're getting back a lot of that money. And if you go down to the next line item where you take a look at the job income, we can see that by cutting off, the calculations have been done at a little bit of a higher level. If we were to be working full time off the platform, essentially you'd be looking at $6,000 in savings over where it would have been if you're working 40 hours a week. So there really is a lot of cost savings by cutting out that fee, the general insurance fee, and the advertising, the listing fee, which is 10% plus the 1.3% fee. So having that really lets us cut into it, not to mention those dollars per hour that we'll be earning while we're on site, remote, whatever we may be doing, is being put directly in our pocket without any fees or whatnot, and then it'll be up to us to take care of any taxes or any other sort of paperwork for auditing purposes. And then, of course, major reduction, another line item in fees, the $150 taken off due to the fact that we're hosting it in-site and not using any external hosting platforms. So that's another big benefit for us as an organization. We get to host it on site with some pretty powerful hardware that we recently upgraded. So it'll be nice. And we've also built the $10,000 budget into our project reserve, which is there if we need to invest in any sort of hardware, pay any ISP costs or whatnot. So essentially we have the budget built in case anything goes wrong, and pretty much the savings are clear there. As long as we're cutting out those fees, we're gonna benefit. And what tools will be used? This Windows 10. This software will either be developed or configured on a Windows 10 professional computer using Ubuntu Linux 20.04.1 will be the hosting server. If a solution is used to develop on the inside, we're going to use Visual Studio 2019 for development, Visual Studio Code for any text editing that we need to do, any user interface, any sort of general text editing. We'll use Visual Studio Code. We'll use Jira for issue tracking, Selenium for testing, and then Apache for our web hosting. A bunch of these products were chosen just for their availability. They're pretty much all freely available. So we decided to go with a solution that is reliable and free. This will allow us to increase our revenue. So we figured it was the best avenue to take. By hosting it on the Linux platform, we get all the latest updates. We get a secure environment. We get a built-in firewall, software firewall. This will also be sitting behind a hardware firewall, which we'll get into in a little bit. But essentially, it'll be developed on Windows and deployed to Linux is what the idea here is, to provide a secure, free, and configurable atmosphere. And here's our project timeline. So as we discussed before, the project is a duration of 75 days, broken down into 4 project milestones with the sprints or iterations in each milestone being about 3 to 4 sprints, but this is the general overview of what it'll look like as we have the kickoff, the website development, some more website development. We have some R&D in there with testing built in, And then finally, when we do the final regression testing, and then we'll do the acceptance testing and then release the website on production. So we have essentially the timeline built in for each phase. Like we'll do the research and development, we'll do the website development, we'll do the database development, we'll connect everything, we'll test it, we'll do a first phase of testing. We'll make sure essentially that it's stable. We'll run it through some more regression tests and testing after we do more development, and have the final product by the middle of December. And for the methodology, we decided to implement an agile method simply due to the fact that it's a little bit of a shorter sprint, but because of the nature of the system, we might end up, because of the fact that we're not sure yet if we're going to go with a third-party system that's been developed or developed an in-house solution. We needed the flexibility to be able to adjust the sprints in the timeline without having to go with all the extra hoops. And going with the agile method provided a little bit more flexibility, as we have scope management built directly into the plan to facilitate any necessary changes. So if something comes up and something does need to be changed along the way, the names and the titles of the people are in place, and there's a process in place to go through it and to make it fluid and to integrate it into the project. And this is a plan-driven project approach, so we do have a project plan that's planned out. But again, with the agile approach, we decided to throw some flexibility in there. That's what gives us that amount of flexibility that we might need should we decide to go either with an in-house solution or a third-party solution. And the scheduling, budget, and scope changes are addressed in the CPPC.Pro change management plan. So again, if the scope changes, if something needs to be changed, we have the process in place, and having the agile methodology in place really allows us to account for that flexibility in time and scope. That's why we chose to go with the agile method. And then here's our network diagram. So here's the IT perspective, the bird's eye view, if you may, of exactly how it's going to look. So we have our firewall set up, which is our edge device connected directly to the internet. Behind the firewall sits a layer 3 switch that pretty much acts as the main switch for the CPPC.Pro network. There will be a VLAN that CPPC.Pro server will sit on, that will be separate from the rest of the network. So CPPC.Pro server will be isolated, segregated, because there will be a lot of incoming traffic now. We'll open up the firewall and have traffic go to CPPC.Pro server. So we'll isolate that. We have some VLANs already built into the layer 3 switch. We have a few VLANs already programmed in there. The main VLAN is 20. I believe 30 and 40 are in their 30s for a pre-programmed one that I put in there for voice, and then there's 40 is in there for, I think, management. So we'll throw that on VLAN 40, or I think VLAN 50 I have in there as a spare. So we can use one of those. We'll throw it on a VLAN. We'll deploy the website. We'll open up the ports, and we'll just basically let it rip. The idea here is to get a static IP from the ISP so that we can have one IP broadcasting. So that's how we'll do that. That's how they'll hit the server and they'll get there. So as you can see, that's the topology. It'll be isolated from the rest of the network. The diagram was drawn basically to show what the configuration now is. We've got the 4 wireless access points, a couple of switches, the management PC behind another managed switch. But essentially the idea here is that CPPC.Pro sits behind the main switch, which is a layer 3 switch. So it'll provide us with the VLAN, and the firewall will provide us with the access control. And that's what that will do. And last but not least, we just would like to go over our value statement once again. We really believe that the new system will take the company where it's striving to be. We've been doing business for 3 years now, hinged by the market's terms. So essentially, whatever platform we decide to take, we have to adhere to their rates, we have to adhere to their hours, we have to adhere to essentially their rules, which, I mean, great customer service is always what we strive for. The whole idea here is we'll finally get to be an independent company. We'll be profitable. We'll get to make our own terms, deal with the client in our own business way. Free market access to our clients, because we'll open up. We'll have our records of our customers, so we'll get to work with them directly and build rapport with them directly outside of the platform. So that's a huge plus for us, and it'll be cheap to set up. Now, obviously, if we go with a With a third-party solution, and we have to pay a monthly or recurring fee for the software, might be something that needs to be reconsidered for the long run. But again, if this ends up being an open source, something that can be deployed, this is something that can just sit there and create money for the business. So it's essentially a no-brainer to get this set up, as long as the budget, which the only question is a third-party solution, because if we do end up having to invest in a third-party solution, it might be something to reconsider down the way. But again, if this business ends up being profitable enough, it's still going to be cheap to set up. It's going to be money that can come in. You take a couple of tickets back, couple of tickets a month, it'll take care of that recurring fee for the platform. So making that step for the experience and for the independence alone, it's worth it. So we propose to approve this project because we really believe that it's going to take the company in the direction that the owners strive to be, just as an independent and more well-known, more brand recognized company that CPPC.Pro has always strived to be. And thank you for your time, project advisor team. And we hope that you approve of this project, and we're looking forward to a swift project kickoff come this September. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.